Hi, Peter Eddy here. Today I want to do an interesting topic. Um, Everyone, we all know that the Beatles are the greatest band that ever lived. No one will beat them. We might have some arguments with people think that some people are better than the Beatles, like the Rolling Stones or the Zeppelin. Or no, the Beatles is number one. The Beatles are number one. I listened to the radio today. The guy says, "Who's your favorite artist?" He said Pink Floyd. Last week, someone said two artists, Black Sabbath and Metallica. What about the Beatles? You know, the Beatles changed the world of music. If it wasn't for the Beatles, there wouldn't be Metallica. There wouldn't be Black Sabbath. There wouldn't be Zeppelin. There wouldn't be the Rolling Stones. So the Beatles are the pioneers and the greatest band that ever lived. I wanted to make a video today, and I think an interesting video. Top 10 songs of various artists that sound like the Beatles. I don't know if it's on purpose or they just sound like them, but top 10 artists of, not top 10 artists, top 10 songs. I have an artist that has at least 4 songs on this list that sounds like the Beatles. But guess what? I don't have anything from Oasis. I don't think Oasis sounds like the Beatles. I don't care what people say. Maybe that one song that one song, I forgot what it's even called. Wonderwall, maybe, but they don't sound like the Beatles. They don't deserve to even have that ranking. People love them. Remember the movie Yesterday, where something happened to the world. There was a blackout, and the lights came back, and nobody remembered the Beatles except one guy. So you're looking at the computer. There was no Beatles. There was the Rolling Stones. There was no Beatles. There was no Oasis. Because there was no Beatles, there's no Oasis. But I don't hold that way. I don't think that Oasis sounds like the Beatles at all. But, so this is my top 10 various songs that sound like the Beatles. Now, there's a group that I think always sounded like the Beatles. Sounds like Paul. The group Badfinger. As a matter of fact, it's an Apple band. I think George Harrison discovered them or whatever, but Paul McCartney wrote a song for them, Come and Get It. That's not the song I'm picking. The song I'm picking that I think sounds like the Beatles from Badfinger is Day After Day. Great song, nice, very nice song. Sounds just like Paul. If I wouldn't know that it was Badfinger, I would think maybe it's the Beatles. I just think that. Okay, next. Now I got a group here that not Oasis, the group that I think sounds the most like the Beatles is EOO. And I got about, let me see. I picked 4 songs from EOO that sounds like the Beatles. When EOO came, people were saying this is the next Beatles. Then people were saying, if the Beatles were around today, this is what they would sound like. With the technology and all that kind of music they play. And I tend to agree with that. I think it would have that kind of a sound. The first song I picked by EOO, which I also think sounds a lot like Paul, is The Diary of Horace Wimp. Great song, very nice song. Listen to it. Tell me if it sounds Beatles to you. It definitely does. Okay. The next song from a group in the 60s, also in the 70s and 80s, which probably was a little bit of a rival for the Beatles, but not much. I don't believe any group was a rival for the Beatles. The Bee Gees. And this song was the New York mining disaster. Very Beatles song. Later on, the Bee Gees got into the disco thing with Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive and all that. But in the 60s, they sounded like the Beatles a little bit, especially this song, the New York mining disaster. Listen to that too. If you have Spotify or if you have YouTube, whatever you use, listen to them. They're good songs. The next songs are very Beatles to me. She's Not There by the Zombies. It just sounds Beatles. I don't know particularly sounds like Paul or anything, but it sounds very Beatles. And listen to it. On YouTube or whatever, listen to it. Next song is an old group in the 60s. Sounds very Beatles, like the early Beatles, because, they were early also. Probably early 60s. I really believe that, people try to imitate them, because the Beatles were number one, and then everybody wanted to be in the bandwagon and get a super hit, just like they did, super hits. And so this song is from the Dave Clark Five, an old band in the 60s. They probably were around Ed Sullivan too. And this song is Glad All Over. If you never heard it, listen to it. Pretty Beatles. Okay, I'm going back to ELO now. Like I said, I have 4 songs from ELO. 4 songs. Because I really think ELO sounds a lot like the Beatles. Okay, so this one, Telephone Line. Also sounds a little like Polish. Paul. But sounds pretty Beatles. Next song. I'm going to David Bowie now. Now it's not Fame. Fame was written actually was made with John Lennon. And you can actually hear John Lennon in the background doing the high parts. Fame. It's not Fame, but it's a very Beatles song, and it's called Changes. I'm sure you heard of it. Heard it. And if not, listen to it. Do yourself a favor. Okay. Now, I'm going back to ELO. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 9th song. Very Beatles. Can't Get You Out of My Head. Sort of a ballad. Well, very nice song. And the 10th song, I also have ELO. This one, surprisingly, does not sound like Paul. Sounds more like John to me. And it's called 21st Century Man. Good song. So I'm going to recap. This is my top 10 songs that are very Beatles. They sound like the Beatles. As I said, I don't know if they tried to copy them. I'm sure a lot of them did. And here goes the list. Number 1, Badfinger, Day After Day. That sounds the most like Paul to me, any of these songs. So much that it sounds like Paul to me that, I'm telling you, when I first heard it, I thought it was Paul. I thought it was a Beatles song. Or maybe a Paul solo, but I thought it was Paul. Listen to that song. Number 2, EOO, Diary of Horace Wimp. It's a very cute song. They go into each day, Monday, Tuesday, and they talk about it. Number 3, Bee Gees, The New York Mining Disaster. Number 4, She's Not There, The Zombies. Number 5, I Can't Let You... Did I mention this? Maybe I didn't mention this already. I might have skipped the song. I have another song by the Honeycombs. It sounds like Paul. And that's called I Can't Let Maggie Go. I don't think I mentioned that. It's on my list of a song. It's very Beatles. It sounds like Paul. And it's from the Honeycombs, the honeybees, the honeybees, and it's called I Can't Let Maggie Go. I'm going to give another listen to that. I think you should too. Okay, then the next one I have the Dave Clark 5, Glad All Over. Next one, EOO, Telephone Line. The next one, David Bowie, Changes. The next one, EOO, Can't Get You Out of My Head. And finally, again, EOO. This song sounds like John, 21st Century Man. So that's my list. Sorry I missed that other song. It was on my list. I Can't Let Maggie Go. The Honeybees. Probably sound like an early one. I have to listen to that again. Okay. So that's my list. Top 10 songs that sound like the Beatles. Okay, guys. Have a great day. We'll be seeing you. Bye.